Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, August 9th, 2024. Well, we have a lot to talk about this morning. Obviously, the most significant impact is the remnants, and this is the remnant low of Hurricane Debby, which then weakened into a tropical storm and now is a remnant low. Currently, over our region, we have winds coming in from the southeast anywhere between 5 to 20 miles per hour, at times gusting over 30 miles per hour, especially along the coast. Temperatures range from the mid to upper 70s over the far northern interior and the Poconos and Catskills, upper 70s to lower 80s for the rest of the region, and it feels tropical out with dew points in the mid 70s. So, yeah, that tropical air definitely invaded the region. You can see that with our warm front here. That was a stationary front. So right now we are not in the heart of this heavy rainfall. I'm going to break down some of the lifting parameters and also why we have a tornado watch in place, especially just away from the coast, as we study this whole evolution of the storm. So let's take a look at the current observations. And this is from the spc.noaa.gov. And you could see first we had the precipitable water values, and as you can see, it's very impressive. Driving over 2 inches, reaching 2.5 inches down towards Baltimore. In some locations, around 2.2 to 2.4 over central and eastern Pennsylvania, pushing into New Jersey. Not as high off to the east around Long Island and Connecticut, but still pretty impressive, 1.5 to 2 inches. So this clearly shows we have plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, and we also have very strong moisture transport at various levels of the atmosphere. When you get into the red levels, that tells you have very strong moisture transport. So this is driven by our low level and mid level jet streaks. And so when we see this signal, yep, there's a plenty of potential here for some very heavy rainfall. Notice that the direction of the strongest transport is towards east central Pennsylvania, where we have the heart of what's left of Debby. Also notice in our upper level development here, we're starting to see that phase come together between the polar shortwave and what's left of Debby. So this is all starting to combine. And so what this leads to is an increase of our low-level jet streak here at 850 millibars, pushing over 55 knots. So when you have this set up over the northern mid-Atlantic, this sets up the potential for some of these stronger winds to get mixed down, thus the wind advisory with these wind gusts pushing over 30 miles per hour, possibly pushing as high as 60 miles per hour, especially along the coast in gusts. Sustained winds will continue to increase to 10 to 20 miles per hour sustained, at times pushing as high as 30 miles per hour, especially along the coast. Now, you might be wondering why along the coast when the core of this storm is over the interior. Well, remember, there is a reduction in what we call friction over the waters. So these winds are able to pick up a momentum much faster, much greater over the open waters, which slams right into the coast, rather than over the land where you have various mountains and hills and just regular topography that will increase friction and slow those winds down a bit. Still, the entire region's under the threat for a wind gust. This also leads to the potential for what we call speed shear, right? So your bulk shear is increasing significantly over eastern Pennsylvania, starting to build over western New Jersey and into the Hudson River Valley. And this is where we have our tornado watch. Not so much right along the coast, but I wouldn't let your guard down along the coast either with some of these cells. While this is all evolving, you can see the frontogenesis is growing via our cold front that's approaching. So this feature is lifting northward at 850 millibars. You're seeing that frontogenesis also increasing. This will continue to build because we have a polar air mass rapidly trying to catch up to all this tropical moisture. So you have all this moisture here. Here comes the polar air mass. Once these two become one, your frontogenesis is going to shoot up through the roof. So obviously we already have plenty of instability in the atmosphere that's going to support pop-up showers and thunderstorms out ahead of this. We even had some breaks of in the clouds, so a little bit of sunshine, further enhancing the instability in the atmosphere. And our threat is not going to be the widespread heavy rainfall, but these pop-up thunderstorms that are continuing to develop. And here we have the upper level winds here. Again, there's your moisture transport at all levels of the atmosphere, driving tropical moisture right into our neck of the woods. Here comes the polar jet stream capturing all of this, starting to form a little bit of a negative tilt. So it's going to further enhance the lifting. You can see the divergence and diffluence setting up over central Pennsylvania, further enhancing the heavy rainfall, but also starting to push into our neck of the woods, increasing the potential for scattered showers and thunderstorms. When we take a look at this environment in terms of a 2D scale here, 3D scale, should I say, this is the vertical analysis of our current conditions. Now you see this feature right here. The difference between these winds here and these winds here are what we call speed shear. So you have an unstable environment. You have this setup here, and so these isolated thunderstorms can briefly spin up and produce very impressive thunderstorm potential for a short period of time. So the reason why I'm concerned about this is that these thunderstorms can spin up, produce a weak tornado, and then collapse with limited time, and it reduces your lag time for putting out warnings. So your lead to be prepared for an isolated tornado is very, very short. So you want to keep an eye to the sky, keep an eye on your smartphone. I would suggest making sure you get warnings from the National Weather Service sent through your smartphone or on your desktop, because these tornadoes will have the potential to develop very rapidly without much notice. So this is the current environment we're in with, again, plenty of moisture. Look at that PWAT already over 2 inches here this morning. And so what that's leading to are these showers and thunderstorms that are popping up here, especially over central New Jersey, up through New York City Metro. And any one of these can intensify. Here's your primary low pressure. Here's your remnant low pressure system. All this heavy rainfall that could have produced 4 to 8 inches of rain over our neck of the woods has been displaced to the west. So we missed the brunt of the potential for flooding in this setup as all this heads towards central New York. But this feature right here will continue to consolidate, intensify, and really reach a apex in strength this evening while moving through, because this cold front with a polar air mass behind it is going to catch up to it. So all of these features combining is why we have that tornado threat here with some of these isolated cells intensifying and spinning up. And in this environment, you don't necessarily need a traditional severe thunderstorm supercell look to it, because of the nature of this pattern, a very tropical nature. You can end up with a spin up developing within these heavy bands of rain that can briefly produce a 80 to 100 mile per hour tornado lifting through any one of these regions throughout eastern Pennsylvania, western New Jersey, the Poconos, the Catskills, and off towards the Hudson River Valley. Along the coast here, a little bit more stable conditions, and this whole feature is going to be lifting through towards midnight, so that impact is reduced, but you still have the threat for a strong wind gust in this setup. On the water vapor satellite picture, you can see here's the polar trough. Here is the leader of the polar trough. It's starting to catch up to this feature here. Again, here is the brunt of the core of Debby lifting up into central New York, but we are still getting clipped by that and still producing the potential for heavy downpours and the rest. On the infrared satellite picture, you can also see the strongest lifting all pushing off into this direction as well. So you see this is all evolving. And I wanted to pull up the visible satellite picture just to show, hey, look, even if you get breaks here, this doesn't mean that you're missing the storm. It means that the atmosphere is further destabilizing ahead of this main feature that's going to be lifting through our region, which increases your potential for isolated severe thunderstorms and, like I said, that tornado threat. So looking at the model guidance over the next 30 hours, again, there is our strong lifting moving through central New York, but clipping us and featuring that line of heavy rainfall and thunderstorms. Here is our 850 millibar jet continuing to progress. And again, we're going to be under the brunt of this strong jet stream through the afternoon and evening hours, which increases your potential for wind gusts throughout the region and those isolated tornadoes. And we're going to continue to remain with very high moisture levels, possibly touching 3 inches in a few locations as the thunderstorm moves through. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that this means that, yes, not everyone's going to see the impressive rainfall that we're expecting earlier on in the week, but some of these thunderstorms are going to be capable of producing very impressive rainfall rates and localized urban flooding and small stream flooding as a result. And again, the good news here is that at least the Cape values aren't through the roof here, so at least we're avoiding the worst of that. How this looks on the HRR right now. Again, the brunt of this lives up into New York, but again, these individual cells is what we're going to have to watch as we move on through the afternoon, capable of producing very brief spin ups here where you get a tornado pop off for a short period of time. And this is going to continue to be a theme all the way through the afternoon and evening hours. Again, the point here is not to take this verbatim, but you get the idea of what this is going to kind of look like. You're going to have this wall of rainfall marching through with these individual thunderstorms. You're going to have some rising, sinking air. So instead of this feature being dry, what you really will have is, drizzle, and then another round of heavy rainfall, and then another round of heavy rainfall and thunderstorms, all lifting through the region through this evening into the overnight hours. And then by the time we get to the midnight hour, and in fact, let me refresh this real fast and get the latest data coming in here. You can see this is going to continue to be a theme until about 2 a.m. and then we start to quiet down. And while this is all happening, you're still going to have the strong wind gusts playing out. And just a bit of good news for the weekend. Hey, low humidity, beautiful weather conditions for tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon on through Sunday. And with that, also a true polar air mass building in, knocking down our 850 millibar temperatures into, let's say, about 10 degrees Celsius to 15 degrees Celsius. And that generally means temperatures in the 70s and 80s. So, hey, not too bad, right? As far as what's going on in the rest of the tropics, we are watching this tropical wave. A lot of hype already showing up in the Maldives. Some individuals posting some irresponsible information. Yes, we have to watch this feature as it has the potential of developing. It could develop into a tropical storm, even a strong hurricane. Problem is that we don't have a low-level circulation yet, so we really don't want to jump to conclusions. But certainly a very healthy wave out here in the Central Atlantic, a little bit of a mid-level spin to it. It has about a 60% chance of developing somewhere around here to the north and east of the Lesser Antilles. With that track, yes, it opens up the potential for impacts around the Bahamas, but the pattern that we're going to be moving into is such that, well, more than likely these storms are going to be curving out into the Atlantic. Now, I'm using the ensemble guidance here because the past couple of days it's been producing a storm track slamming into the mid-Atlantic coast. But instead now, as we're getting better and better data and we have a better understanding of the 500 millibar pattern, my original thoughts from a few days ago was that, hey, look, this is a pattern where the trough axis is going to be along the coast here, the 500 millibar trough axis. That's going to lead to a lot of storms curving out and missing the Atlantic. And we're seeing that shift in the Maldives now, recognizing that pattern, which is great news. So I think that's going to continue to be a theme. And when we take a look at our sea surface temperatures, we're going to be watching this area here, as a lot of this was due to advection from a storm out here transporting warm water into this area. So the question that we're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks is this a collapse of the negative PDO or simply just a brief warm period with a return of colder waters? And there is already some indications of colder water already popping up around here, certainly right along the west coast, and we have very warm waters here. So this could just mean that we have a brief relaxation of negative PDO and then it comes back. Meanwhile, our La Nina is trying to develop, is heading towards a colder scenario. Looks like for the most part, we're either going to be dealing with a cold neutral or a weak La Nina state moving in through the rest of fall and into the winter. So we'll keep an eye on that. And plenty of warm water out here in the Atlantic. This signature tells us we have our Western Atlantic ridge well locked in. So what that means in terms of the 500 millibar pattern is that, hey, we're going to have this trough along the East Coast, which means that we're going to have seasonable temperatures, even slightly below normal on a few days, and low humidity. And then here again, here's that tropical system. This is on the European guidance, getting hold northward. And yeah, there could be some interaction that we have to watch out for New England. We'll have to watch to see how this evolves. But this is far different, far further east than what was originally suggested a couple of days ago, which everyone was looking at. My point here is not to take this verbatim. My point here is that, hey, look, when we're studying this type of guidance, there's a lot we don't know. This is why we don't post it and make major videos about it 10 to 15 days out from an event, because there's a ton we don't know. And the GFS comes close to the coast, but it gets kicked out as well. So this could lead to a lot of riptides. And then on the European ensembles, as we know, as long as you have this trough axis sitting right on the East Coast here during this forecast period, you're more likely to have storms curve out than to come up the coast. Naturally, we have to watch each event and see how it evolves. But my point here is be prepared. Don't be scared, and don't buy into the hype and the scare tactics that some individuals use in order for them to click on your videos. So be better. Not you, but everyone else posting those type of videos. Now, let's talk about the forecast for today. Waves of showers and thunderstorms. Some of the thunderstorms will reach severe levels, capable of isolated tornadoes. Strong wind gusts throughout the day today. Very breezy with sustained winds of 10 to 20 miles per hour, at times pushing up to 30 miles per hour on the coast, with gusts over 30 miles per hour. Temperatures will range from the mid to upper 70s over the interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast with humid conditions. Tonight into tomorrow morning, the cold front moves through with additional showers and thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, clearing out by tomorrow morning with low temperatures in the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s in your suburbs, lower to mid 70s in your urban areas. Tomorrow afternoon, sunny skies, light westerly winds, and high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s over the interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. On Sunday, high pressures in control. Same thing for Monday with tranquil weather conditions. Low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast. High temperatures in the lower to mid 70s over the interior, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast, lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. On Tuesday, look for scattered cloud cover and tranquil conditions, low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast, high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. On Wednesday, scattered cloud cover is expected. Could be a few isolated showers with a weak trough hanging around. Look for low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast, high temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s throughout the region. On Thursday and Friday, a weak trough will hang around the region with scattered cloud cover and a few isolated showers, mostly pop up convective showers and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm in the afternoon hours. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast, high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s over the interior and along the immediate coast, lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. So overall, once we get through this stormy period today, the weather pattern turns rather pleasant with comfortable conditions, seasonable temperatures, and plenty of dry conditions. That is your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day. Have an awesome weekend. And as always, stay safe out there.